streamer, so I have to turn off the Twitch chat so I
Okay.
don't hear an echo. Okay. I think I'm good now.
Yeah. If you just mute my stream or
Yeah,
exit
it's
out,
good now.
whatever.
It's good
Okay.
now.
Perfect. Cool. Oh,
I
PF.
figured it out. I'm very proud of myself. At 31 years old, I figured this out.
Ah, okay.
So,
So you are a boomer. I'm 26, so
actually,
I'm quite young.
yeah,
Yeah, in comparison.
Hmm.
Just kidding. All right. Well, it looks like
Yeah,
PFN joined in finally. He logged in on the Twitch here. Make sure you guys follow me. By the way, I can always use the follows. Um,
yeah,
so Enlightened Bulbasaur, quite the long name, but um,
yeah.
thanks for joining. While Sub S Head is putting his father to sleep, who was a great guy, by the way. Um, how long have you been a E4 member or I guess collector?
Well, I mean, I originally collected like from 1999, like when the cards first came out. But
Are you
I got into
are
what was
you
that?
are you from the United States or a different
Oh yeah,
different region?
I'm from New York.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
so yeah, like originally like from 1999, and I got out of it in 2000, and then I like in 2009 I discovered like graded Pokemon cards, and that's
2009.
when I yeah 2009.
So
I think that was kind of like
you're an early adopter here.
yeah, like I think like back then it was like that was like the early stages of like people collecting PSA cards. There wasn't really much of a thing like other than Gary
Yeah.
submitting like 100 million like CD promos back in like 2000.
Right.
Like basically PSA cards were not really much of a thing until 2009.
Okay.
And then I was like just randomly looking. I think it was just like the way I discovered it, like it wasn't like through Instagram or anything like that back then. I was literally just on eBay, and I said, "Oh, I wonder how much old Pokemon cards are worth now." So like I just like typed into eBay like Pokemon cards, and like I just out of curiosity, and then I like discovered, oh, people get these graded by professionals. This is interesting,
What were the prices like?
and
Were they
so
sick? Like
yeah,
were they
I
a
can
lot
tell you.
higher than the raw cards still, or were they?
I mean, the graded cards were still like higher, yeah, definitely much higher price than the raw cards. But I can tell you that like my very first purchase was in 2009, and it was like the 16 first edition base set hollows. I purchased a PSA 9 set. And it was actually from Gary. I didn't know Gary at the time, but in
But
retrospect, it was definitely Gary.
King
And
Pokemon on
I
eBay.
King Pokemon, yeah, and it was like him and like Ed were the ones who were selling everything back
Right.
then, and it was like I think it was $990.
Was it
I got
individual cards or
the
was it a full set?
like including the Charizard and everything,
Okay.
like the PSA 9 first edition full set, $990,
Wow.
and yeah, it was pretty in retrospect pretty good deal, and then shortly after that, I uh I made a post on like it was like the thing that was the predecessor to E4. It was like Pokemon Gym or something like that.
Yeah, Yeah,
Like whatever the
I
yeah,
wasn't involved, but yeah, it was Poke Gym or what? Yeah.
whatever it was. Um and I asked like should I buy this PSA 10 first edition Charizard for $700? and there was like some disagreement over that. People were arguing
Oh,
over
you made your own thread. Okay. Well,
thread. Like,
okay.
should I do this? And it was fun. It was funny. Scott was also in that thread,
Okay.
and like years later, he was like quoted in the PSA magazine saying like, "Oh yeah, to show you how much Pokemon cards have grown, check out this thread from back in 2009 where I was saying he shouldn't buy the card."
Oh,
Like,
oh, oh, was that one of the recent PSA magazines or was this a
it was a couple years ago. A
Okay,
couple
yeah,
years
yeah,
ago.
okay, okay. Okay, cool. Um
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
at that time did you know like how many were you looking at PSA to see how many what the population report was like or
I was, yeah, I knew that back then. Like when I purchased the the Charizard, there were exactly 30 of them at the time.
Wow.
That was in
So it's pretty
2009.
low. That's what, like 25% of what's out there now.
Yeah.
And you bought again through eBay, probably from King Pokemon or eBirdman.
I
Um,
don't think it was either of them actually. I remember that. I cannot for the life of me remember who it was, but I do not believe it was either of them who
oh,
sold me
really?
that card.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but was I mean at that time was there any? I mean, did you know who Scott was? Did you know who these guys were at all, or it was just simply I'm posting this your first post on what was it, PokeGym or UPCCC
Yeah, yeah.
saying that hey, I want to buy this card. Is this a good idea? And I mean, at the time, I'm
Uh,
guessing you were what a sophomore or junior in college.
pretty much exactly. Yep. Um, Yeah, I had no idea who they were. They were just like, usernames on a screen. Like I just yeah, I had absolutely no clue. Like I immediately knew that like Scott was using the name SM Pratt back then. He was even back then he was like talking up the trophies. And like
Oh, really? Okay.
he's like, yeah, well like the set cards are nice, but what I really like is trophy
So he was building his okay.
cards.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Wow. So yeah, you I mean you were definitely one of the early guys in on this. I mean, if were you looking at Pokemon at all before that, or did you really just when you started looking at it, you at 2009 you saw that oh they're being graded. I mean, what were there a lot of graded cards then, or were there just a few?
Oh my god, there's so few compared to what they are now. That's the crazy thing. Like, you just like if you look at like if you go into eBay and look at PSA Pokemon cards, whatever, there's like a million listings.
Right.
It was not like that back then. There was an extremely limited selection of graded Pokemon cards. And like people like today, people will grade like so many different things. Like back then, like again, this is like in the early era, people wouldn't even think that like a card was worth getting graded unless it was like and you know what I mean? Like unless it
Right.
was something like a first edition base set card or like some
Right.
like people didn't even bother to grade like jungle or fossil. Like they were almost non-existent.
So
Like
when you were looking, yeah, they were all first edition base set cards. Yeah. So
it
when
was mostly first edition
so you
base
bought
set stuff.
that 16 card set from whoever it was. What did you do after that? What
That
was
was
your
Gary. That was Gary.
that
I
was
bought
from
it
Gary.
from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did have you ever contacted Gary after that, telling him that was you? That was kind of what got you started, got you back into Pokemon.
I mentioned it to him on the E4 forum a couple of times, but I spoke to Gary like on the phone once when I was like trying to make some purchase of like some first edition base set cards to him. We ended up getting into like a I had no idea who he was before this, but we ended up getting into like a lengthy phone conversation. Like he
Yeah.
wasn't as like well known back then, but I knew
Right.
he's a really friendly guy. Yeah, we just talked about things.
Yeah.
Remember that.
I talk with Gary a couple times a month, and whether it's a deal I'm working on or something I want to buy from him, of course. Um, but so you bought a full set of Hollow first edition sets. Did you get into any sealed product at that time? Were you looking at any of the modern product at the time? I mean, 2009 was what, like EX, I don't know, Sandstorm or something like that?
Yeah, it sounds familiar. No, I never got I think modern Pokemon cards are really cool and everything. I just never really got into them. So like even
What did you
yeah.
collect as a kid? Because you said you got back into it at 2009, but you started at the beginning. So when you started at the beginning, do you remember if you got Shadowless or first edition base set? What
Mhm.
what did you buy into at that time? Because obviously the West and East Coast is what we all hear about, getting the good stuff and having the first edition available and having the
And
Shadowless available. So did you have that
mhm.
when you first got into it as a kid?
Yeah, I live New York City, so East Coast, and I can tell you because it's very easy for me to tell you this because I still have a lot of the cards I actually collected from when I was a kid. That I have a ton of shadowless cards. Like if you look through like the cards that I had as a kid, like the base set cards, I would say like I have as many shadowless cards as I had unlimited cards.
Wow. Okay.
Uh, so like wherever my area was, where they were definitely selling shadowless cards, but
Was that something you noticed as? I mean, you were what
I did. When I was a kid, the only thing I
preteens
know
when that came out?
Well, I mean, 1999, I would have been 11 years old. Like,
Okay.
I collected it, so yeah, like 11. But I noticed as a kid, the thing I noticed was like, oh, like the HP is different. Like this one has thick HP and this one has thin HP. That's how I thought of it in my kid mind. Now,
Wow.
obviously, like they said shatterless. Like, oh, I didn't even notice that, but I noticed like some cards have the thicker HP, and I also noticed like the colors are like they're kind of different colors. It's kind of weird. Like I know, yeah. So I definitely noticed it as a kid.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's one thing that I've got two older brothers, and one of them, the one that's probably your age, yeah, he's about, I think he's 30 now. He noticed that as a kid, and was consciously trying to trade some of his cards for shadowless cards because he liked the way that it looked, the way that the ink
I
looked.
like
It
the way
was
it looked better too. That's the
yeah,
thing. I remember thinking I like the way the shadowless cards look more.
right. First edition was never in our minds. I mean, I look back, I graduated from college in 2015, and I had nothing going on, so I was just digging through all of our stuff in my parents' house, and I found all of our Pokemon cards. And of course, it was majority unlimited. I grew up in the Midwest in Michigan, so majority was unlimited. And I remember base set being kind of the heavier side of things that we were into, and I was of course younger, but we just followed what my oldest brother did, and he happened to have a first edition Nidoking, and that was it. Everything else was, maybe a shadowless Poliwhirl here, a shadowless Charmander there, but
Yeah.
um,
The first edition was so elusive. It was like almost non-existent. Like you heard about. I knew about it back then. Like I knew it existed because of the internet. But like they were so rare. Like
okay,
no one really had them
okay, yeah, and
that I knew.
and even going back, because when I got back into Pokemon in 2017, I was back in Michigan, and I live in California now, but I was back in Michigan, and I went to the childhood store that I grew up with, where me and my brothers bought Pokemon from, where we bought Dragon Ball Z, MLB Showdown, whatever it was, Magic the Gathering from. Same owner, same guy, and I've built a very strong relationship with this guy. Bought almost all of his Pokemon out. Unfortunately, not
Nice.
not all of it yet, because I'm very honest with the guy. I'm very fair with the guy, and I kind of consult with him now. So I help him out, and he helps me out when he's ready to sell something. But he actually, when I first met with him again, he had a open first edition base set box with all the cards in it, and
Wow.
I bought the entire thing, which included a full hollow set, and then just a ton of commons and uncommons and non hollow rares. And I got them at a ridiculous price, like stupid low price. Even at the time, it was stupid low.
Yeah. What year?
Um,
What year did you say that was?
that was 2017,
Okay.
and yeah, I got a full first edition set for maybe 700 bucks, and at the time it would the Charizard was easily worth that. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
he still has a near mint binder set, which he won't sell me, unfortunately. But I've been throwing him offers for a while, and hopefully he'll
It's
crack someday.
interesting to me though. It's interesting because you said this is a comic book shop owner.
No, it's so he's been a card shop owner the whole time. He actually, when he first opened this thing, it's funny. So I'm very close with this guy now. He's honestly, he's a day away from his deathbed. He's so old, so fragile. It's
I,
tough. But
okay.
he got into this with Beanie Babies. He told me he made
Hmm.
$180,000 in 2 months,
Wow.
when Beanie Babies came out,
What the
with that whole craze with the Beanie Baby craze.
180,000 in 2 months?
Yeah, he blew
Oh
up
my
with this,
god.
and it was simply off of
Wow.
a tip from one of his friends, and away from that, he was a graduated mechanical engineer, probably making a great living, doing whatever he was doing, but he took this tip from his friend and decided to go into collectibles, um,
Crazy.
and yeah, so we bought all this stuff from him, and of course in the Midwest we didn't get all this, but um, he just had a treasure trove of Pokemon when I met with him. He he didn't really know what he had. He's purely a card guy. Growing up he was heavily in Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, But now today he is purely a Yu-Gi-Oh guy. For whatever reason, he tells me that the Magic community in the area has shunned him. I don't know what he did or
Okay.
what happened, but they will not buy from him. They will not play their game at his store. I don't know what he did, but it had to be something ridiculous. Um, and then
Okay.
and then of course he's got a lot more growing Pokemon business now because of what's happening with the industry and it's still a growing game with the modern product. So luckily, I got it at the right time and bought a lot of his stuff. Um, I got like two Japanese base set boxes from him, a bunch of other stuff. But he,
I mean, that's how you get the best deals. I mean, you find someone who doesn't really know what they have or
right,
don't really look into it. It's just to me, it's just surprising because I mean, if the guy's like a shop owner, like it's like you would think like he would really know what he's selling,
right,
you know?
right, but he's been so focused on Yu-Gi-Oh for so long that he
Yeah,
hasn't
I
even
get what
looked
you're
at it.
saying. I get what you're
And
saying.
and I even remember, again, this is 2017 when I went back to this guy and started buying from him. 2015, when I was home from college, or 2014, I was home from college one summer. I brought in all the Pokemon cards that me and my brothers had owned, um, and tried to sell to him because I wanted money. I was just trying to get money to pay for food or go out drinking or whatever the hell it was. And he offered me like $40 for a full base set, a binder set and whatnot. And I just, luckily I
Yeah.
said no and walked out. But
Yeah.
finally came back to the guy, and yeah, he just had it's ridiculous what especially with the guy being so old. He would every time I came and saw him, he would find something new every week at his house in his storage. So it was quite interesting to fall into that. But
You said you knew him going back how long? You knew this guy?
well, the store he owned, we bought from his kids back in 1999, and
Oh yeah,
he
yeah.
was same owner all the way through.
That's great.
I gave up on all that stuff. I was trying to be a cool kid. I played basketball, did all the sports stuff for a long time, and finally got back into being a nerd. So,
Yeah.
luckily he was
Me
same
too.
owner, and um, just
Because I had a comic I definitely like had like a local comic book store that I would go to and get my cards at as a kid,
yeah.
but sadly like they went out of business
Okay.
10 plus years ago now. So
Did you
that,
play
I mean that's
any
it
other
is.
games growing up? I mean, were you into Magic? Were you into Dragon Ball Z? Any of that stuff?
No, not really. Like I I got probably got into Pokemon originally. I mean, everyone got into Pokemon, but like
Right.
I was always like a Nintendo fan. Like
Okay.
I always played the Nintendo games, but I never really got into the other card games or anything like that.
So I mean, what set did you, I guess, stop at? I mean, did you have brothers, sisters, friends that played?
I have an older brother. He's 4 years older than me, so he was like too old at the time to really get like in 1999. He would have been like 15,
Yeah.
which was so he was just like a little bit too old to really get swept up in the craze.
Thankfully,
So I
my
didn't
oldest
really
brother
have.
was that age and a huge nerd, so he was into it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Like I guess if you're a big enough nerd and you're 15, you could have gotten into it even in 99. That's
Yeah.
fair. That's very fair.
Yeah.
But my brother did not was not into it.
Okay.
I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, you asked which set did I stop at? I can tell you that it was very early on. It was English Team Rocket.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Um,
that's not
I
so bad. I mean,
yeah.
I stopped at Gym Challenge, but again, I was following what my oldest brother was doing, so I easily could have fell into the Neo sets if he wasn't there getting us into Magic and all that. But um, okay, that makes sense.
It's so funny now because like we got out of it like before the Neo sets came along, but now it's like, oh, I love these Neo sets. They're amazing.
Right.
Like
Right. And I mean, I don't know about you, but even back then, silver and gold were my probably my main Game Boy game. I played red, blue, yellow, of course, but I was just doing it, playing along, not really thinking about it. But when I got silver and gold, I was really thinking about it, doing strategies, really like involved in the game, trying to figure out how to do things, and
Yeah.
that was probably my most memorable time as a kid from a Pokemon era was that, and unfortunately, I never got into that Pokemon TCG time frame, I guess.
As far as the Game Boy games, I agree with you. Like, I didn't really get like super into like the strategy of playing like the Pokemon Game Boy games until Gold and Silver.
Hmm.
But I still do have really fond memories of the originals. Just like I like the thing I remember, it was like especially like summer of '99, playing like those red and blue with friends at summer camp especially.
Yeah,
And like I remember like in your summer camp what you're doing is you're just going around playing sports all day. But this summer, in addition to playing sports all day, like everyone had their Game Boy and their Pokemon Red or Blue,
right,
and like we were all just playing like and we had like no idea what was what. We didn't know anything about these games. Like
right. You were
I
just
remember I
you
had
were
a
just
friend.
playing. You were just playing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I remember, like I had like a friend who was complaining how it wasn't fair that my Pokemon got to attack before his Pokemon because like we didn't know what speed was and all those things like that. It was just like an unfair thing that why should my Pokemon get to attack first?
Right,
Like
right,
that's some bullshit. Like we had absolutely no clue what we were doing, but that was the fun of it. It's like, oh, what is that Pokemon? It's like oh, it's like it was just a total mystery, and so I do have really fond memories of Red and Blue. But yeah, in terms of but when the Gold and Silver came out, like obviously those are much more polished games, and like
hmm,
yeah, you could. I remember like figuring out, oh, if I had with my Houndoom, I could use Sunny Day and use Flamethrower and Solar Beam, and like that works really well together.
yeah, yeah.
Like
It
so, yeah.
when talking about the I guess the camping days or the sleepover days with friends. I remember so specifically now after you bring that up. Um, my oldest brother, we had a neighborhood friend who was the real guy that kind of taught us everything about these cards and games. He was the one that introduced us to Masingo, the missing number in red and
Oh
blue,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
and
remember well. Yeah.
he had a level 1,000 Nidoking. Okay,
Yeah.
and we had my brother had for whatever I don't remember. I've never looked into it either. My brother had a red version. He had six level 256. I remember this specifically to
Yes,
the
that
number.
was the level. I was gonna say 255
Two
or
he had
256.
he
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
six 256 Mewtwo's. My other brother
Yeah.
had six 256 Clefables. I don't know if it had to do with the game cartridge and specifically linking you to a specific Pokemon, but that's what they had. And
Yeah,
but
I
for
remember
whatever
that.
reason, I was 7, 8 years old, and I had no idea how to control this missing number, Missingo thing, and how to catch these Pokemon. So I just had my regular Pokemon, and we were always battling each other with the linked cables,
Yeah. Mm.
and I was going up against so this one friend. He only had one of these level 1,000 Kings. I don't know how he got it, why he had it. I don't know if he gave it a bunch of rare candies or whatever he did, but he beat everybody every time, no matter what. And for whatever reason, I was battling him, and he had his level 1,000 King out first, like he always did, because that's how he won every battle. And he was going through.
A truly talented person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was the best trainer in the world, and he was just running through my six Pokemon lineup. But I get my level 56 again. I remember this specifically. Level 56 the trio out. Okay, and
That's very specific.
we're in
Yeah.
the back seat of my parents' van driving. I don't know where. Backseat of my parents' van driving, and I'm just clicking the A button because I'm sick of this. I'm done with this. Looking out the window, I lost thousand level level 1,000 Nido King. This is stupid. And I have my level 56 Doug Trio out. His Nido King misses his attack by some magical error, and I click Fissure, a
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
knockout,
That was the
a
winning strategy. That was
one
the
hit
strat.
KO attack,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it hit. my my level 56 Dugtrio hit and killed this
Oh
level
my
1000 Niddle King in one shot, and the amount of HP he had was ridiculous.
God. Relevant.
So it took a solid 15 seconds for this
Oh,
HP
I remember
health
that.
to
It's
tick
so
down.
funny when you say that. I forgot about that. Like, yes, I remember how long it would take the HP to deplete back in Generation 1.
Yep.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, and although I did not win the match, I freaked out about killing his level 1000 Niddle King, and it was the most unbelievable thing ever. It was so cool.
It was your moment of glory,
Yeah,
the triumph of your childhood.
yeah, and I'll remember that for every time I see him. I bring it up. I let him know that I'll never forget it. It
Oh man,
was
that's great.
that's one of the greatest things I look back at with Pokemon wise.
Yeah, that's
It's
awesome. But
phenomenal.
I remember when I jumped into the conversation, you mentioned Pokemon Revolution. Nick, his name is?
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing I was gonna say, I remember, I was talking when I was buying him from those cards from him, like those PSA 10 first edition base set cards at the time. I remember that he had sold at that time. Like he made a sale of Charizard, the PSA 10 first edition base set Charizard for $12,000. And at the time, this is 2016, like soon after Pokemon Go. And
Hmm.
at the time, people were like, wait, is that right? Was that sale real? That really happened? Because that $12,000 sale was, I can tell you from history, was the thing that started the escalation of the Charizard. Because before that, the
Really,
highest sale was like $6,000. I remember that. It was like like the card would not sell for like never sold for above 6,000. Then all of a sudden, boom, like double, like overnight, the price changed $12,000, and it was like, oh my god! And then then there were a couple more sales that were over 12,000, and then like it jumped up to 20, and then it stabilized at 20 for a while, and like
hmm
that was like a crazy new norm because there had previously been like 6,000, and then like for some time after that, obviously it got up to 30 and then 40, which is where it is now. But yeah, that was like I remember that. That was a monumental sale. Like
okay.
that occurred.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, I got in slightly before Evolutions. I luckily stumbled upon uh, a Craigslist ad for some Team Rocket boxes, which I could
What was
get.
2016 the evolutions?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and that's when I got into it. And I remember seeing PSA First Edition 10 Charizards going in for around that 12 to $15,000 range, and then I ended up going to Anaheim for 2017 Worlds 2017, and at that time, yeah, the Charizard was at like 20,000. People were all talking about it, like, is this too high? Is it gonna crash? What's gonna happen?
Mm.
And I sat down with Pokemon Master 556. I forget what other name he went by, but Jeff. I don't know if you know Jeff. Um,
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that many people, frankly. Like
he
I
was good
don't
friends with he's been kind of quiet in the community, but he's good friends with Gem at Pokemon with Zach.
Okay.
Zach did that
Mhm.
video on YouTube about buying that first edition base set box in Seattle. Do you
Mhm.
remember that?
Um.
It's on YouTube. I don't know.
Okay.
That's one of the
I'm
main
not
videos that
100%
really
yeah.
like got me excited about this stuff. And Jeff had kind of facilitated that because Jeff lives in Seattle. But Jeff, I remember this being a huge thing. Jeff had bought a first edition Charizard for 20 grand, and this was
Mhm.
right when it hit 20 grand, and people were all skeptical about it. And apparently, he bought it on PayPal credit, which they had just started offering the 6 month no uh, 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 6 month no payment plan. Um, so he was taking this huge risk of needing to pay off a $20,000 debt in 6 months
Yeah.
before getting hit with that extra fee. And people were freaking out. People were saying he's stupid, he's dumb, he's done for.
Yeah.
We're never gonna see him again. But
Uh,
I think within like 6 months, that 20 grand turned into $40,000, and with those Charizards went to
it,
40.
yeah.
Like
It's
there was no middle
40.
ground between 20 and 40. It went from 20 to 40, at
It
least
jumped
for
up insanely fast.
yeah,
But overall, it jumped up insanely fast from like 6,000 to 40,000. But
yeah,
the crazy thing now is that like you hear about like people who are offering 40,000 but can't find someone who's like willing to sell a good one at 40,000.
right. Because yeah, one guy I've been selling to, he bought one for 37, 38, and it was
Mhm.
a pretty weak 10. Um,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and that's been being talked about for a while, but he ended up just buying it for I think he just bought it for the label and feeling bad about getting the guy to fly out there and all that. So it was a little
Yeah.
sticky situation. But he's got one. It's
I
great.
get
He's got
that.
the label, but it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, he's got the label.
It's gonna be hard to
Yeah.
get rid of.
Yeah, I know. But I fortunately I really do feel like I lucked out because I really do think mine is a legit 10. Like I said, it's not like perfect. Like it's not
Right,
black label, but it's a 10. Like it's a
right.
solid 10. Like, oh yeah. Like it
Well,
pretty much. Like no yeah.
so I don't want to dive in too deeply here, but you said you bought a full set from what it seems like to be Gary, but you were also buying stuff from PokeRev at the time. So are do you have multiple PSA 10 Charizards?
No, no, I wish.
Oh, okay, just the
I
one.
wish.
Okay,
I have a complete like PSA 10 set and a complete PSA 9 set.
okay,
Of and they're all thick stamps, all of them.
okay. So was that a specific thing you were going after, or did it
Oh
just
yeah,
like
that
it
doesn't
just
happen by
happened?
accident.
Okay,
Yeah. Oh, you know what it was? I remember. I think the way it originally happened was like when I bought the Charizard, I wasn't thinking about thick or thin stamp at the time. Like didn't even know about it.
okay,
But then when I learned more about the distinction, I'm like, let me try to do all of a specific stamp just because I like uniformity. And then I realized my Charizard is thick stamp, so I think I'll just go with the thick stamp thing.
yeah, okay, yeah.
That's
I've
pretty much.
You know, I've never gotten the PSA cards. I mean, I understand the value and the legitimacy behind them and having that authentication, but it's just too volatile for me. You know, it's something that I grade cards myself. I think I've purchased three, maybe four PSA cards
Yeah.
from eBay, but I've fully consolidated to a sealed product at this point. It's just something I found that's truly what love to have. It's something that I was saying before. You probably joined in that as a kid, I always wanted packs to open, and that's what I got into Pokemon for was to open packs. And then I realized it's way too expensive to be doing this.
I
Um,
know.
and then I kind of realized as a kid, I never thought to myself that, Dad, can you buy me a box? Can you buy me a sealed box? Like I didn't know that was a thing. I
Yeah,
thought there was
I
just
same,
packs.
same.
I just thought it was
Yeah.
packs. So having sealed boxes is kind of the coolest thing for me, and it's the safest, and it's also easy to sell. So
Completely agree. It looks
there's so many
100%.
pros to it, but again, like Scott Pratt has said, it's a boring investment on his part, but
Right.
playing around with the PSA market is a something you can make big returns on, but also it's a bigger risk.
Oh, for sure. Like if strictly from an investment standpoint, I think like box sealed product is definitely all day sealed product because sealed product, the supply is only going to go down,
Right.
and interest in them is never going to go down. And as you said, like the fundamental thing that people love about Pokemon cards, like that gets us all into it, is the idea of opening a pack and it's like a mystery and what are we going to get. So like it's a great investment sealed product. The reason like I'm not super into collecting it myself is just because from an investment standpoint, like it's great. I just need to have the cards inside the box, like
So
I need to be able to appreciate. I need to be able to appreciate the individual cards. Like it would just yeah. I
well,
can't have
I
like
mean
that's pretty much where I come from.
okay. I mean at this point you probably have a full binder set of each set, or even a PSA set of most of the sets that you want. I mean,
Um
are you susceptible to like when you have a sealed product? Are you just tempted and to open the thing and can't stop yourself?
I think that might be true. First of all, I'll tell you. In 2009, I opened up a Gym Heroes first edition box and a first edition Gym Challenge box, And it's funny, the reason I probably purchased those boxes is because, as I told you earlier, I stopped collecting at Team Rocket.
Hmm.
It felt like kind of like a continuation of what I left where I left off as a kid.
Okay.
And that was fun. And I actually made like extremely crummy YouTube videos that I recorded with like a MacBook, like a 2006 MacBook webcam. They're still on YouTube. They're terrible. Like the camera work is god awful. Like they're horrible, but they exist. And I got to open up my first edition Gym Heroes and Gym Challenge booster boxes, and that was fun. That was fun. And then in 2016 I opened up three first edition jungle and two first edition fossil.
What were you paying
But
for
I
those
did the same
boxes? Do you remember?
thing.
A couple $100?
So in 2016 I was probably paying like $800 for those boxes.
Okay.
Now in 2009, now in 2000, which is like a quarter of what they sell for today. But in 2009, for the first edition, Gym Heroes and Gym Challenge. Oh, do you want? Were you just looking up to see if you could find my video?
Yeah.
I can probably get you the link.
Okay.
It's like these the quality of these videos is terrible,
I,
but
I
just for kids.
I don't care. I love watching openings. Gem at Pokemon YouTube videos were
Oh
what
my
got me
god!
back into it. And
Hold on,
I watch
let me
everybody's. I watch everybody's. It's just
hold
something.
on,
Cause when
let
I
me try to
got
get
back
this
into
here.
it, when I got back
Yeah.
into Pokemon, I told my, I was in a very bad mental state, as a lot of people kind of are when they get back into this stuff,
Mm,
and I
yeah.
was going through some health issues, and I was just using Pokemon as a way to you know be happy and look back at good times. So I told myself I was gonna recollect base set through Fossil, the original 151. So I started buying stuff and just opening packs nonstop, just
Yeah.
to finish those sets. Luckily, I got things at good prices at the time. I mean, they were still $15 a pack for Jungle and Fossil, and $30 a pack for base, whatever it was. But it was still stupid the amount of packs I opened. Like I look back at it now, and the I I look at the value of what it would be today. It's ridiculous. Um,
I
but
found something for you. Hold on.
you can
Here's the link.
you can link it in
Yeah.
Discord or in Twitch,
10,
whatever.
yeah, just a 10-year-old video. No, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I think when I first got back into it, I was in college, and like I was also probably like a little bit of homesickness. I think the
Yeah.
homesickness played into
Did you have a job?
like feeling nostalgic.
How did you pay for the? I mean,
So hey,
how did you pay
it's a great question.
$700 for or $990
I,
for a
no,
PSA 9
no,
set?
no, no. These boxes, in the 2009, I paid like less than $200 for this box.
Wow.
This first edition Gym Challenge box, which today sells for how much does it sell for? I don't even know.
They're
But
selling
at the
for like
time, I
4,500 bucks.
oh my god, dude, I think I paid like $150 for this
Well,
box.
even that in college, like I was struggling to pay $20 at a night at the
Yeah, I
bar.
know,
Like, where did you get $150?
I know.
Oh,
This is a true story.
you're
I
concerned
got it
about
from
the condition
poker.
issue there too. I'm not listening
I
to it,
was.
but
I got it from poker. I somehow I went one night of poker, and like I did really well, and then like let me go to the Montreal casino. I was going to college at a place. It's called McGill University in Montreal,
okay.
but they had the Montreal casino, and the players there were really bad, and I started going there like once sometimes, and I actually did really well, and like literally that poker money is what I used to buy the Pokemon
That's
cards.
really funny because I did the exact same thing except with blackjack. I lived about
Oh really?
an hour away from an Indian casino in Michigan, and I would drive up on weekends, play blackjack, win a couple $100 on the weekend. And at the
That's
time,
so funny.
I was just using the money to buy shoes, buy whatever. I wasn't into Pokemon, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
that's funny. Okay. Oh, you're doing
They
a
open
are you doing a card trick
yeah,
here?
I'm doing a card trick. I knew the
Wow,
card
you
trick.
knew the card trick back then.
I
Wow.
knew, I knew the card trick.
I hate that, by the way, but kudos.
Oh really? It's so
Yeah,
funny.
I can't stand it.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I was probably like a monkey see, monkey do thing for me.
Really, you're the inspiration here behind TCA's
Yeah,
current
right,
videos of
right.
of
Yeah,
putting
and
the
look at
card in the
the
sleeve.
terrible camera work, and you see this terrible camera work where, like, you can't even see half the card. This will continue to, like, all the videos.
Or hold on, it might be great camera work because you're avoiding the boring part of the words and just showing the artwork.
Right, right.
This is revolutionary.
Like, the way I'm filming this is to, like, I have my laptop, like, away from me, so
Oh
I'm
my,
using my laptop webcam.
oh
Like,
my
this no
god.
people this yeah, like, I didn't even have a smartphone at the time. Like,
Oh,
I had
that's
a flip
right.
phone.
Wow, you had the Motorola
This is 2009. This the people like people had just started to get some smartphones. Like I think I got my first smartphone like a year
It was
after
like
this.
it was like a BlackBerry.
My
Wow.
first smartphone was an iPhone in 2010, but this
Okay.
was 2009. So I definitely had the Motorola flip phone back then.
Like these older videos of people just going through the cards and not. I mean, I don't know what you're saying. You might be talking about the condition and being careful with it.
Yeah.
They're my favorite because like there's the TCA video where he bought a first edition base set box from Collector's Cash or David Adams or something for like 10 grand, and it's from I don't know 5 6 years ago, whatever it was, and he's just ripping through the packs and sliding all the cards, not worrying about like scratching the hollows or anything, and it's just I've watched it like 30 times.
Yeah, no, I was definitely concerned about condition and everything.
Okay,
Like I think
because
I mean, I don't know if I
well
want to
that's
spoil it
something.
for you, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's something you fell right into as soon as you started collecting again. Was people grade these cards? What? So that was like I guess something that you took on right away, which
When
is
I was opening this, so this is funny. When I was opening this booster box, I remember thinking, even at the time, oh, I could have these cards professionally graded. Um, yeah, even at the time, I was thinking that.
do you remember what the grading cost was back then?
Um, no, so this is a really funny story. I just because life takes in weird directions. Anyway, so in 2009, like I collected all these cards,
Hmm.
and then I kind of like put it on the back burner for a while again until 2016. So I had meant to get my cards graded, but
Uh,
I literally never did it until like a few days ago. I submitted. I had like this massive backlog of things I've been meaning to grade. So like literally a few days ago, I finally like
but
10 years in the making,
potentially
submitted
these same
like
cards.
yeah, no, some of these same cards. I submitted like 360 something cards, like,
Wow.
and there's a lot of stuff in there. Like even like this. Also in 2009. There's so in 2009. This is a separate story. There was a guy who opened up a first edition base set box on YouTube, and he was the first guy who did it, like 100%. He opened up a first edition base set box in 2009, and I watched it when he made this video, and I sent him a message like, "You selling any of these cards, dude? Like, I'd love to buy them." And I ended up with the best purchases I ever made. He sold me a copy of every single non-hollow in the set, like 17 through 102. He had all of them there, and I paid $100 for it.
Wow.
So I've had that all these years, and like they're like packed fresh, like So I just submitted those too. So I'm anticipating getting a lot of tens on those.
Wow. That's phenomenal. So when you this is 2009 obviously. I mean
At
you
2009.
said you did both gym series boxes. Did you buy any other boxes? Were you looking at Sky Ridge? Were you looking at Legendary Collection? Were you looking at anything else?
No, I don't really remember what my thinking was. I remember thinking like, oh, maybe I'll just continue to collect and like I'll like try to make a YouTube channel and blah blah blah. Like I was thinking about it, and then life just got in the way, and I'm like, yeah, I just kind of like put it on the back burner and like
What were you doing in college at the time? What were you studying? What did you go into?
I studied I was studying economics.
Okay.
Actually in college I was like I jumped around. Like I was like political science,
Okay.
like philosophy. I was like all over the place. I think that was part of like I was feeling depressed. I was like you. I was like feeling down at the time. Missed home. Didn't really know
Yeah.
what I wanted to do with my life, and like I that definitely turned to Pokemon cards, like in that kind of context.
Okay.
At the time, yeah. But then, like, yeah, like I don't know, like I just but I ended up getting a degree in economics. But
Okay.
now I ended up working in real estate for a while, and
Oh,
as a
that's good.
broker, and then I totally separate career change, became a teacher, so that's where I am now.
Oh, wow. That 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 could be a whole nother podcast of kind of talking about the current, I mean, I don't know what grade you're teaching, but what kids are thinking of Pokemon now.
12th grade, yeah, at
Okay.
12th grade,
Oh,
so a
okay.
little
A
older.
little older. But wow,
My girlfriend teaches first grade, and like she's confiscated some Pokemon cards from some
good.
students. So I'm like, yes, that is a good sign for Pokemon cards.
have 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 you told her what to look out for and what to specifically take if she sees it?
No, I guess give me all the shiny ones.
Shiny Charizard GX, take those.
Yeah, give me
Ooh,
shiny Charizards.
nice.
Just give me
Your
those.
first holo here is a Blaine's Charizard.
Oh yeah, Blatant Charizard
So
fully up. I
hopefully at
remember
this point you stop opening packs, right?
Yeah, just go on that note. PogChamp. Reacting to myself 10 years
That's
later.
perfect.
PogChamp.
Is I'm gonna love to brag about this forever, but pulling that corrected Charizard, the corrected Blaine's Charizard from that box was one of the coolest feelings ever, and
You pulled the one with the fire energy symbol?
yeah. So when I originally got into
Is
Pokemon
that like
again,
really rare? Is that like super
it's
rare?
yeah, I see less of those than the first edition, and maybe because again, when I got back into to the game, that one store that I went back to. Oh, part two coming up. Um,
Oh god.
or was
Just
that?
remember, this is their 10
Oh,
minute limit back then.
wait, this
10 minute limit.
this is part one. This is when you open it. Um, so the
Okay.
kid store the store that I bought at as a kid that had this just gold mine, which I never saw all in one piece. I bought slowly. He had a case of unlimited gym
I
challenge.
don't think this is my video you're looking at. I could be wrong. I don't think that's my video.
GS kills.
Yeah, I remember
Oh,
G skill, but that wasn't my video. Yeah, yeah.
where's the rest of this? Part one, part two. We're hopping into part two, boys. Oh, this is wait. This
Oh
is
my
Gym
god.
Heroes. We're mixing it up. That's
This is
okay.
probably the first time anyone has watched these videos in like 8 years at least.
um, so the store I bought from, he had a full case of unlimited gym challenge, and this guy, his philosophy was he wanted to keep one of everything. So even going back to 1999, if he sold his last box of base set, he would buy another one just to have one. So since he had 6 of these, he was just giving them to me. So I bought, let's see, I bought 4 of them. Oh shoot, I bought 5 of them. One of them I gave to my brother. One of them I sold to TCA, and one of them I sold on eBay. So I was left with 2. Um, and at that point, like pretty early on, I figured out that like, oh, the bottom of this box only has 1 country code. Is this normal? So I started looking at eBay, looking at first edition boxes, and put together this theory that my boxes had the corrected print run of the Charizard and the Minefield. And I had this theory out maybe 2 years ago. I posted a thread on E4, and I was brand new to the community. People didn't know who I was, and so no one. I mean, people commented and whatnot, but no one really took it seriously. And then I've been talking it up forever, even up until like today. And just over, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, a couple months ago, I did a live stream where I was selling the heavy packs to people and opening them for them so I could send them the hollows and the PSA. Just because I've been tying up so much money, I've been selling stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and I sold these packs at a premium, kind of between a heavy pack price of unlimited and a heavy pack of first edition. So I got a good deal on them. but I pulled the Charizard. Well, I pulled the Minefield actually first, and saw that it was
Didn't
the
even know about the minefield. What's the thing with the minefield?
so in the first edition and the majority of them, it was listed as like something like place damage. It just said place damage counters on whatever, so it didn't specify how many. So I guess if
So it could be
someone
like a broken card. It could be like a broken card if you followed it literally or
right,
something.
exactly. So some smart
Yeah.
ass could say like, "Oh, I'm gonna put 100 damage
Well,
counters
that's what
on
the
your."
card says.
Yeah. So they changed it to like 2 damage counters yeah, I think 2 damage counters. So between
Okay.
that card that I pulled that one first, and I at that point I knew like, oh, we
Yeah.
we're good to go. But then like a few packs later, I pulled the Charizard and really confirmed that this is where this comes from. So everyone that
Like,
has that box,
yeah.
like that's where they come. Like I was able to confirm that, and it was just cool to be able to do that. And um, I wish I kept it for myself. Obviously, I kept that card for myself, but
Yeah.
it's going to someone else. So
Is that like a card that PSA would even bother labeling like corrected
no,
Charizard?
they don't. Unfortunately,
They don't. Okay.
yeah. I know there's been from the people that I've talked to, especially from coming up with that theory. Like Zach said, I think Zach has 2 of them or 3 of them. And he knows that there's some others out there, but there's no one knows how many. So, but there's definitely fewer than the first edition, at least
I
in
agree.
in
Like
in, in
very
Gem at 10 at least.
yeah.
So I know one sold recently for I think oh, shoot, was it 1,000 or 2,000? I think it was 2,000.
That's definitely more than what that. I think that's more in the first edition price because I was actually looking at the Blaine's Charizard prices just the other day because
Let me
I
take a
I guess I was
look.
like selling because I is that one I submitted that card you just saw me open up in the video 10 years ago. A few days ago I submitted that. So
It
I
must be
think they
the
go
I think
close to 1,000, but
yeah, I think it was 1,000 then because it was lower than the
yeah,
first. Yeah, so it was slightly lower. Yeah, it was 1,000. So they're right up there with the first edition. Of course, it's
right,
hard to
right,
like it's a very niche item being an error and people not really knowing about it and
yeah.
obviously not being labeled, so you won't get as much money for it. But um, I think
It's
once
a
it
cool
gets
card though.
labeled, it could maybe surpass it by a little bit. I don't know by how much. Um, but
You see
I've
that?
I've got my last box listed on eBay for 10 grand. Just
Which box is that?
let's see. Let me pull it up. It's the one with the corrected Charizard in it.
Oh, I got you. I
But
got you. Okay.
that's the other thing though. This set has so many hollows that it's pretty low chance that the Charizard will even be in there. I think they have 18 or
It's a
19
20
hollow.
hol I think it might be 20?
Is it 20?
Because you get like all the trainers in there. You have like, the four gym leaders. Uh I think it's
Yeah.
like I want to say it's 20.
Yeah.
I want to say it's 20.
So
So,
so this is the box. I don't know if you're looking at the stream, but
I'm looking at
so
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just has. I mean, of course, with Shadowless, this is where the one country code is labeled, but
Mhm.
it has this one here. So I just kind of deemed it as one country code. So it has USA, Canada, Asia Pacific, and Latin America just in one spot. And then if
Oh, I
you
see.
and
Okay.
then yeah, and then obviously if you look at the first edition, and this is how the other unlimited are as well. If it has a picture of the bottom. Yeah, it has the additional. It has European, it has
See.
France, Italy, UK, and Australia. But it also has the wizard logos at the bottom of the seal, which
I think yeah.
I
Go
think I
ahead.
think those are later, just later prints or later seals for the boxes because we've seen it with Aquapolis where some of those boxes have the wizard's logo around the whole thing. Um, But again, with later print of Gym Challenge, obviously it has this. And then I recently opened up a Gym Challenge or a Jungle case, which had a definitely a newer sticker on it and it also
Mhm.
had Wizard logos on the bottom as well. So I just think for some reason later prints of each set with Wizards of the Coast have the WotC logo at the bottom and the top.
Interesting.
It's kind of an odd thing, but um, so yeah,
I mean, it
that's
sounds like that's like where the fun of like collecting boxes comes from. Like, it sounds like you know a lot about the ins and outs of the of like sealed product, which and like it's interesting how like subtle differences in the sealed product would tell you that something totally different is inside. It's pretty cool.
yeah, and I think that's
By
kind
the
of
way, yeah,
yeah. No, no, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. No,
Well,
you go ahead, you
yeah,
go
yeah, I
ahead.
was just that's kind of I think that's one of the underlying things that led me to cut consolidate and really lean towards boxes was because there's a lot of that's one thing that I've enjoyed not just in Pokemon but in kind of every little thing I'm into is the history and the unknowns of things. So I kind of found that people have really focused on cards and understanding the errors there, and they've really kind of found everything, I guess. But with from a box standpoint and where those cards come from, no one really knew yet. So there was a few unknowns that I could look into or discover myself, and that's really what I think led me into
Yeah,
boxes and collecting those.
yeah, no, that's a cool backstory. See that. Like I said, I just don't think I have the willpower to I
Oh,
need to open box.
yeah,
Can't. I just can't.
yeah.
I have a really hard time with that.
Yeah,
Um,
thankfully I got that out of my system. I think. I
yeah.
mean, I definitely still go through phases where
Yeah.
like I need to open something, but
Yeah.
I'll just drive to Target, buy some of the new stuff, and just open it and be
Right,
like,
right, right.
and
Yeah,
just regret
that's a
it
good point.
instantly.
Yeah. Money down the drain.
Yeah.
By the way, I was looking at chat and I saw Bipsy. Is Bipsy still here? Bipsy had asked about my trophy
Oh,
Kangaskhan.
that's right. Yeah, we got to go back to that. Bipsy, you're still
Uh,
here? Kanto's finest? Yeah, you're still here. get,
He's still here, yeah.
get out of here with Kanto.
Um,
Are you a
ahead of
are
that.
you a trophy collector?
So, I good question. Well, I have the trophy Kangaskhan.
PSA
Um,
10?
PSA 10, PSA 10.
Wow, and you're not taking the
Um,
40K offer.
First of all, okay, okay.
I have a buyer for you, by
About
the
that
way.
40K, you do okay. Well, what's the offer? In all seriousness, what's the offer? I'm
I
not.
well, we can discuss that personally.
Oh yeah.
But
Let's not do
yeah,
that
yeah,
over here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But okay. So ask me about that. I mean, I wasn't looking to sell, but I would consider it.
Right, right.
Anyway,
Well, there's been the E4. There was the E4 offer, I think,
the
from that one
E4
guy.
thing I heard about, and that one guy. The only thing, the thing about that is that I heard that the guy who made those offers on E4 wasn't going to be paying all at once. It was
Oh,
going to be like over a long period of time, which is a
okay,
little bit less appealing.
right. Okay, well,
I mean, if someone said like here's 40K cash, I'm gonna put it right in front of you. I'd probably take it.
okay,
But like but like it's a little bit different circumstances if someone's saying they're going to do it over a long period of time.
okay. Well,
But
we'll have to talk then
like I said,
privately
yeah,
after this.
we'll talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I bought the trophy Kangaskhan in 2016. It was really funny. There were two people who were like both trying to sell me their trophy Kangaskhan at the time.
Both tens or raw?
And they're both tens. It was just so funny. So I kind of like, yeah, I guess I had leverage in that sense.
Who
But
were
it
they?
was
Do you
weird.
remember?
Well, the one I bought the card from was Rayquaza TCG.
Okay.
Um,
He still has one,
the
doesn't he?
guy, I don't, does he? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I thought I bought his only one, but I could be
Okay.
wrong.
Okay.
The other guy, the other guy, what's his name? Like, if you told me his name, I remember it, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But
I've stayed away
it
from the
was
trophy market. It's too tempting, and I don't have the cash flow for it.
it's yeah, it's so expensive. Yeah. I mean, on to be honest with you, I've been in negotiations to purchase another trophy card.
E-
I don't know
English or
where it's
Japanese?
going. Oh, Japanese.
Okay.
Like we're talking. I mean, I'll just I'll just say it.
You don't have
It's
to say who, but
if I say what the card is, it's
oh.
on it's very obvious
Okay,
who.
gotcha. Well,
But
it's either Scott or anyone else.
it's not Scott.
Okay,
It's not
it's not Scott.
not
Okay,
Scott.
okay,
No.
gotcha. Yeah, I don't know the trophy market very well. Again, like I stay away from it. But okay, so you were buying, or you had two people trying to sell you PSA 10 Kangaskhan's.
Yeah, and I at the time the the top sale for a trophy Kangaskhan, even PSA 10, if I recall, was like a little like $3,100 or something like that.
Wow.
And they both wanted more. Like they both wanted more than that, and they were asking for like a lot more than that. And I ended up getting it down to 5,000. So
Okay.
I at the time was like paying
Almost a
a significant
yeah,
like, almost not quite double, but a lot more than anyone had paid for it before.
close to it. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
They
and
wanted
I remember,
double, and you
yeah,
worked them down to a little bit less. Okay.
like that. They wanted double what anyone had paid for it before, and I still paid a lot more for it than anyone else had paid for it. But then after that, obviously, like the price started jumping,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's like a lot more.
It's crazy. So you ended
Yeah,
up getting one from Rayquaza TCG
I
for
think it was about five
for
thousand I
about
paid for it.
5,000, and this was when
Yeah,
2016,
2016. Yeah,
and you still have it today.
yes I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, how many? So you've had this card for almost 4 years now, three and a half maybe.
Years, 3 a little a little over 3 years,
I mean,
yeah.
how tempting has it been to sell that thing? I mean, how many times have you been offered double what you paid for it and not sold it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I really the thing is, I really went through that with the Charizard. I
Okay.
mean but I mean, like,
I mean, I have no idea what your
I
financial situation is, but regardless of
yeah, look, I'll be
being
honest.
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, like, I've been in a fortunate position. I'm not like rich or anything, right? I'm definitely not. But like, I've been in a comfortable enough financial situation
Yeah.
where I've never felt like I need that money. Like, oh my god, if I like that's a game, like that money is a game changer for my life. You know
Well,
what I mean?
well,
Like, if I felt like the money was a game changer,
yeah.
it would be different.
I mean, today $40,000 might be a game changer for you, but $10,000 wasn't a game changer for you 2 years ago. I mean, so the, there was never a time where you could have used that, I guess, $10,000 offer to buy something else, or there was never anything that you wanted to buy that was bigger than this Trophy Kangaskhan that you wanted
There
to
was
use that money for?
Yeah, I mean, there was never like, I really like. First of all, I live in Manhattan, so I don't drive a car. But just to guess, but
Oh,
this is so literally like there was never like, oh, I really need this car or like anything like I really need this thing. Like there
okay.
was never like that when I say like I'm not wealth, I'm not like rich or anything, but I've
Right,
never like
right.
been in a financial situation where there was something I really wanted but I couldn't afford it. I've been fortunate enough to be in that position,
Yeah.
so because of that, I've never been like really felt like some need to sell my cards. Like I
Okay.
know in the back of my mind, like if something ever went wrong and like my financial situation got much worse, then at that point I could look to sell my cards. But
Okay.
I've never been in that position. I've never been in a position where I felt like I had a need to. So
Mhm.
I felt pretty comfortable just being in the position of holding. And in general, my belief is like I've long thought like I think that the cards have more room to go up than they have room to go down. And
Okay.
now I will say that I don't think that's just necessarily going to be the way forever. Like certainly a card like the Charizard, the Kangaskhan could fall in value, but
Mhm.
I mean, but for the most part, my general thinking has been I still like the upward potential that these cards
Yeah,
have.
I
So
mean,
I haven't. Yeah.
regardless of being in a comfortable position, having that that strong nature to not sell something of that value is a rare trait to come by. I mean, I'm in a similar position, from outside of the Pokemon standpoint, where I'm comfortable and I live quite well. I live in Silicon Valley, the most expensive place to live almost in the world. I mean, and
Manhattan's not too cheap either.
right, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, I'm sure you're right up there, maybe even higher than what I'm paying in rent. But just I've missed out on a lot of opportunities Pokemon wise because I've had, for the first 2 years I did Pokemon, I was solely in it for collecting and investing, and I tied up so much cash that I was starting to miss out on opportunities because I was building these relationships with people. I was building my brand, where things started just coming to me, and I was missing out on opportunities to buy stuff because I didn't have the cash to do so. So recently this year, just like before Worlds, I started to turn my stuff into a business, so that I could have more cash flow readily available and do these things. Uh, Luckily, I'm very business oriented, and I'm a pretty good relationship builder, where I turn in these misfortunate opportunities that I couldn't afford myself, and I made them into a relationship building opportunity. So, uh,
Is this? I should have asked this earlier. Is this what you do full time now? Like, what is your
oh
profession?
no, no, no.
No, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm in sales. I do
Okay.
I sell robotics right now for
Cool.
industrial automation. Um,
Nice.
and
That's
uh,
why you're in Silicon Valley.
yeah,
That's
yeah. I'm actually trying to get out. I hate it out here. I never really. I don't fit in. I haven't met people. I don't have family out here. It's rough. Um, but it's. I mean, the weather's great. That's about it.
yeah, yeah, right, right. Okay.
Uh,
At least you got that. Good.
yeah, yeah. So it's been a fun opportunity. But I'm looking to get back home, kind of get where the important stuff is with the family and
Home is
friends.
Michigan for you. You said.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I'm exploring opportunities there. But it's shoot, I lost my train of thought too here.
I'm sorry about that. That was
But
my bad.
yeah, I try to turn my so my Pokemon, I turn into business oriented here recently, and I've been just unloading a lot of stuff, which you always look back and regret selling something, and but you have to continue to build. So unfortunately, with the rent that I pay, I can't continue to build and hold on to things, so I have to keep moving stuff.
Yeah.
Um, like I look at that jungle case that I had. It was a sealed case. It was my gem piece of my collection. I love this thing, but I ended up opening it and selling boxes, and that turned into getting heavy base set first edition packs. And now that's the gem of my collection, and I definitely like having that more than my sealed case. So, um, it's just a continuous build and grind to get to where I want and get to what I want to own. Um, and I know I have a lot of stuff that I want to sell still, so that I can just continue to build my box collection, because that's all I care about now. Um, and I'm able to control myself, I guess, from opening, because I've opened so much. And seeing what TCA is doing with his YouTube and the amount of money he's getting for unweighed packs is just unbelievable. Like, no one's really looking that closely into it. I mean, he's I think he's sold out at this point of first edition Gym Challenge, and at the prices he's quoting on his website, if they sold at that price, that box was worth over 6 grand,
That's crazy.
and they're listed on
Yeah,
eBay for four
yeah.
to five. I mean, if I was
Yeah.
him and had that brand, that outreach, I'm buying every single
Yeah.
one of those boxes.
Yeah.
Especially with how
Yeah.
even he said in his videos how quickly he sold out of them. But again, going back to your willpower, your personal strength of not selling these things, um, these trophy cards. I mean, what other? Do you have any other trophy cards? If you don't mind sharing, if you're
No,
collecting those, or
I like I said, I just have the Kangaskhan right now, and I
okay,
was looking to buy the second trophy card.
Okay, I'm
I
guessing
thought I might be.
a TMB
Oh,
or a mute. You don't have to
no.
specify, but something of that. Maybe even a
All
Pikachu
right.
trophy 98, 97.
Maybe maybe that.
Maybe in that range. You don't have to specify, but
Maybe in that range.
yeah. um, I mean that's a phenomenal. I mean that's something that you know 0.0001% of us will ever get to not just own but even like hold in your hand. So that's
uh,
a very cool.
I hope I can get it. I really don't know though. It's like I've heard that there's competition for it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we've been talking a lot. I think my offer is like really legit, and like we keep trying to work out the details, but I don't know if we're gonna get there. It's could go either way.
Okay.
Could go either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely be PMing you after this. And you're again, you're free to leave whenever you want. But I'll PM you
No,
after.
yeah, I thought you were holding me. I thought you were holding me hostage.
I'll I'll
But
I'll I'll
yeah,
have to
yeah.
reach out to my guy because he's bought a lot from me, and I'm even able to meet up with him in person to do a cash deal if
Are
needed.
you
So
stibs on like E4 and all that stuff?
yeah, so I thought my name would show up as PokemonRadar on there, but I guess it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
No
I
idea.
mean, like, do you want to just DM me like on Discord or?
Yeah, I'll DM you on Discord and we'll figure it out. I'm the easiest
Okay.
way to contact is through Instagram. That's my because it's through my phone.
Okay.
It's most easily accessible.
Right.
Um,
Whatever's now I started using that Pokemon Instagram again, but I
okay.
don't know. Whatever is easiest for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. Very cool. Very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have any more sealed boxes that I can buy from you?
I wish I no I do because I lack that willpower that I told you about in 2006. Okay, so here this is what happened. So go back to 2016. Pokemon card prices were blowing up, and this is one of the mistakes that I made in retrospect. So I just want to explain the logic of how I got to this mistake. So, Pokemon card prices started blowing up, like first edition base set. We were saying the Charizard from 6 to 12, whatever, is going higher and higher. And around that time, I noticed like the jungle and fossil cards were also really started ballooning in prices. Like they started getting like crazy high prices.
Mhm.
And I noticed that the population. Okay, and here's what I noticed. First of all, I noticed that the population of these cards was extremely low because like people hadn't really been grading that much of them until that point. But I also noticed something really weird. I noticed that the price of the boxes made no sense in relation to the price of like the PSA 10s because what you had happening was like you were seeing like PSA 10 first edition Jolteons that were selling for like $1,000 or like close to that. And then you had like the boxes that were selling for like $800. And I'm like, wait, this makes no sense. Like, why wouldn't okay, I was interested in like getting those sets, but I'm like, so why wouldn't I just buy the boxes and like just grade them myself? Like, it was a time when like the boxes made no sense in relation to the price of the individual cards.
Mhm.
So what I did was I said, screw it, I'm not going to pay those prices. I'm just going to open the boxes myself and grade the cards myself because that just makes much more financial sense. At these prices, I'd only have to get like a single PSA 10 from the box and I'd get my value back. Anyway, so what I did was I purchased like 3 jungle boxes and 2 fossil boxes. And I did the silly thing where I opened the boxes, which is again, just opening a box just feels wrong, but I did it. And I opened up just the heavy packs.
Mhm.
The Yeah, and then I guess, and the problem with this was,
Silvering.
um, yeah, oh my fucking god, it is so bad. All like I know that some of them don't have the silver ring because like I also I own like the sets now. Like I just purchased them separately, like not from the boxes that I opened.
Okay.
But and like the cards I have don't have that much silver ring. But all the freaking boxes I opened, especially the jungle, were insane silvering. Just like every single one of the hollows. And like I should have just stopped myself. Like honestly, like once I realized like all of these hollows have like insane silvering, I should have just like not even opened up any more of them. But I couldn't help myself. I was like, then it has to be this one. Has to be this one. Has to be this one. But I don't know. Look, I submitted them to PSA just a few days ago in that order. Like all these first edition jungle and fossil hollows that I pulled right out of a pack. I mean, we'll see. I mean, they're still good cards for the most part, but they have crazy silvering most of them.
Well, even back then,
So
though, silvering wasn't a big issue for PSA, and they would still grade tens, at least from
yeah,
what people
yeah,
say.
that's what people say. The
How
thing that
about
made me a
today, though?
little
I mean,
skeptical.
even today, they're being extremely picky about anything. So silvering, I feel like they would be very harsh on it.
I just feel like I'm gonna get very few tens in what I submitted, and so then I'm saying the mistake I made was like all those cards I submitted. I think I'm gonna get very few tens, and now those boxes I opened sell for like $3,000. So if I had just kept the
Right.
boxes, I'd have $15,000 worth of value in like those five boxes.
Are you
And yeah,
are you friends with Seeds with Daniel Seeds?
no.
Well, he's a Pokemon. Gotta catch 'em all on E4.
What is his name? You broke up there for a second.
Gotta catch 'em all.
All need for.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with him.
And what about
Well,
him?
so I met him at Worlds this year, and I mean, same story, but times 100. I hope to have him on my new Pokemon podcast here. um, but he saw the same thing that you did, but did it with maybe 50 boxes. And
Oh wow.
Nick,
Yeah.
Pokemon Rev, he did maybe 100 boxes, where
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
opened up all of these and created all the cards because they were buying boxes for $3, $4, $500 and
Okay.
getting one PSA 10 that was worth $3, $4, five
We
hundred
all saw
dollars.
the same thing. It was hard not to see that. Like
Yeah,
the prices made no sense. So, like something had to there had to be a market correction, but at the time it's like you're
right.
just like this makes no sense. I have to exploit the market. I mean, I have to do this right now.
Yeah, and I had a good conversation with Dan. Gotta catch them all about this, and yeah, obviously, if you held on to those boxes today, they'd be worth a ridiculous amount of money. Um, but again, look, there'd be if you were selling them all, what would the availability look like? What would the prices be like? Yeah, it's all relative, but um,
Hmm.
that's something that I missed out on. That it was like a 2014 to that 2016 before Pokemon Go came out. That was a really fun era for you guys. Was being able to buy these boxes and open them and to grade the cards, and that's again going back to what I care about is opening packs because that's what the true nostalgia. That's where the true nostalgia lies is opening
Yeah.
packs. So that's something that's
Yep.
really cool. You got to experience. I mean, even if it was just 5, 10 boxes, whatever it was. But
Yeah.
I've only opened up. Yeah, I've only opened up one booster box for myself. Like I've opened
It's
up.
too expensive to open now. That's the
I've
problem.
opened a ton of loose packs, but never
Yeah.
cracking that seal from a booster box is just something else. And
Yeah, I couldn't do it today. Like I could
right,
the only reason I was able to do it is because the prices were lower back then. I would never do it today. It's
yeah,
just too much
yeah.
money.
I mean, even now looking at some of the boxes that I paid $500-$600 for that are still in my collection, I think to myself, oh, I can open this because this is all I paid for it. And then I look at eBay sold listings. I can't give this up. So I don't know if I'll ever open up a box again for myself. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's
that's
tough.
that's something to look forward to. I mean, I got to open up a first edition base set pack, a heavy pack this year, and pulled the Nine
What
Tails.
do you, what oh, Ninetales,
Yeah,
nice.
and it looks nice. I'll send it in the
Well, I
PSA
have
soon.
fondness for Ninetales. That was the first cards I ever owned.
Mm-hmm.
I remember this was when my mom bought me two starter decks. The one with the Ninetales and one with the Gyarados. So I
Okay.
have great fondness for the Ninetales and the Gyarados. Love those cards.
Yeah, yeah. Mine back in the day was Zapdos. I don't know why. It was just something about the yellow card and it. it did a lot of damage or something, and I
Yeah, no, the damage thing was big. Like
yeah.
kids love the big damage.
Yeah, and I remember having an unlimited Zapdos just beat the hell. I mean, the most whitening you'd ever see and most scratching you'd ever
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
So that was always my card. Going
yeah.
back to that.
I'm seeing I guess the Twitch comments. Yeah, I agree. Like it's possible I'll get some tens even with the crazy silvering. We'll see. I'll keep my fingers crossed.
I mean, yeah, I wonder even if now. I mean, I guess I haven't seen too many people talk or post submission results about jungle and fossil cards because no one's really submitting those anymore. I
Yeah, because now they're too exactly. The reason why no one's really submitting them is because now those boxes are too expensive to open in relation to the prices of the cards.
right,
So
and
it would make no financial sense to open it, especially because all the uncommons and commons are basically worth nothing because those sets have like there's like literally a combined 32 commons and uncommons combined in like each of those sets. So like when you open up a box, you get like literally like 15 of the same card over and over again. So
right.
essentially like those commons and uncommons have almost no value.
Yeah, you're just going for
So you,
Eevees, Pikachu's, and Air Butterfrees. That's that's all you're looking
yeah,
for.
I mean it's really just the hollows. I mean like
Yeah.
a little bit like you get a tiny premium for like a Pikachu or an Eevee in like a jungle
Well,
box,
I
but
think
like
those are
it's
selling for $40 or $50 at PSA 10.
I submitted several of them like basically the way I did it. So like I submitted these again a few days ago. I submitted some of those jungle and fossil first edition commons and uncommons, but like
Hmm.
I only even some cards that I knew would get a 10 I did not bother submitting because it was just excess. It was just like
Yeah,
there's just too many of these things.
yeah.
So like I only submitted one of each copy that I knew would get a 10, like perfect to perfect. Like I was choosing like the best among like five cards that would probably get 10s.
Hmm.
So like I know they're gonna get 10s. I mean you never know, but like for the most part they should.
You know,
But yeah, other than that, I guess I made like one of each card because it's just too much excess otherwise.
hmm.
Other
I
than the
get you.
hollows, obviously, and then you submit all the hollows.
Right,
And then I
right.
submitted like the Pikachu's and the Eevees that I knew would get tens, but that's like basically it.
Okay. Yeah, and that's probably worth it. I mean, you know, and I was thinking also looking back at talking about that market correction that you dealt with. Um, Skyridge and the disparity between PSA 10s and sealed in the opposite direction today of what you were dealing with then. You have
Yeah.
a $25,000 sealed booster box,
Jesus Christ, that's
six,
crazy.
$700 sealed booster packs, but you have a what $2,000 PSA 10 Crystal Charizard.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't add up in any way, shape, or form.
No.
And I completely understand the fact it was the last WotC print, set. There was maybe a short print run. Do we really know that? No. Um, or maybe we do. I don't know. I could be wrong. Um, and yeah, it's great artwork and all that, but that disparity in prices scares the hell out of me, and I don't know which way it's going to correct. I think people that have PSA 10 cards are probably safe and will get a little bit of return, but people that have sealed product, I don't.
Yeah.
Will that hype die
That
down? Will that?
I,
I don't know.
okay, that is I for the most part, I mean, I don't want to say it's like a perfect correlation, but there's always going to be synchronization between like the price of the sealed product and the price of the individual cards over time. Like inevitably, that's what always happens. Like that's a lesson like I learned like from Jungle or whatever.
Hmm.
Like now that and you can exploit the market sometimes that way. Like if you notice that like oh like these boxes make no sense, the price makes no sense in relation to the individual cards, like you can exploit that maybe by if one way or the other if you really notice that, because I do think that there's like ultimately what people love is the cards, right? That's
Hmm.
like the ultimate thing that people love, like yeah, opening the packs and then getting those cards. So, like, if people just don't have that much interest in the individual cards, it's really hard to see how, like, that kind of prices for a sealed product will hold up. But at the same time, I do recognize that there are people who just collect the sealed stuff, and if something is so incredibly rare that for those like sealed collectors, it's like
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a perfect synchronization, but you always have to pay attention to it.
Right, and yeah, PFM says he doesn't agree with my statement, but Rudy Alpha Investments just did a video on this kind of price disparity between sets and I guess the time with Magic the Gathering, and how the how different the prices from opening up a unlimited Magic box, and the prices of the cards you get is so much different than a current modern box. So that's definitely a true and very well documented, uh, I guess, price standpoint and market standard. But like it's like S. M. Pratt has mentioned of the hype that's gone around these sets, Skyridge Legendary Collection. I mean, they've gone it's gone on long enough where it's hard to ignore. But
Hmm.
I still hear stories of people having cases of Skyridge, or having a ton of just a lot of availability of the stuff. So I don't know how much truth there is to this scarcity
Yeah.
of Skyridge, and it, it every box is limited. Whether it's
Right.
an unlimited jungle, every box is limited now
Yeah,
because they're
I
not
mean, like what
pre-made. So
Pokemon Flying Master is saying, like, yeah, if you told me that there were 10 Skyrigs boxes in the world or whatever, like, or Aquapolis, or what is the one that sells the most, you said?
I think Skyridge, outside
Okay,
of
like,
base set, Skyridge
yeah,
is
but
yeah.
like, okay, if you told me they were like literally 10 boxes, then like, yeah, obviously, like,
Hmm.
if it's like we're talking about super incredibly rare, then yeah, like, it's legit. Even if people don't have that much interest in the individual cards, people really want the sealed product. But like, unless like it's really is that incredibly rare where like it's just like almost impossible to acquire
Hmm.
over a long period of time, then like I do think that there will be some fallout, like, well, but like, okay, yeah, but the individual cards are just not that valuable. So like the sealed product like can't sustain these prices. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I just be. I could be. I have no idea. Like I have no idea. I'm just saying it would worry me. Like
Right.
if I was placing stock in like these boxes, like it would worry me. I'm not saying that
Hmm.
it literally can't. I have no idea. I'm
Yeah,
not some sort of genius.
yeah,
It would just worry me.
I agree completely. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
no one has any
Yeah.
idea. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I've also looked at too, is that recent sealed box spike back in what, July, August time frame. Almost every box nearly doubled in price except for Legendary Collection, and I mean that's something that I would bet on. Legendary Collection I see less of than any other set. I see less Legendary Collection than Skyridge. I see less Legendary Collection than any first edition Neo set.
Yeah.
That's a set that has a lot of hate towards it, but I think just as much scarcity as these, and I think that's one of those. Again,
Yeah.
I'm
But
no genius
yeah,
either,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's an extremely volatile set to throw your money at, but that's one that didn't really hit a price spike, and I think that one could deserve a market correction. But that one also has cards, the PSA cards, which actually makes sense for, or closer to making sense for the box price. With the Charizard being over $6,000 at a PSA 10, because there's still single
Yeah.
digits in the pop report. There's only five
Yeah.
Blastoise, which that card people say are worth $4,000, but I haven't seen one for sale since I've been in the Pokemon game. So it's
Oh, yeah. The thing is about Legendary Collection, and this is me really just giving an opinion that a lot of people might disagree with, and whatever. But
hmm,
I just cannot see the appeal of Legendary. To me, I don't really see the appeal of Legendary Collection because it's yeah, it's super rare. and like that's great. I mean, rarity is good, but every card in there is a reproduction, right?
And not just the
Of
first,
some
not
kind.
yeah, not just the first reproduction. A lot of them are a second reproduction because of base set two being the first, the
Yeah,
first.
exactly. It's like a second reproduction for. I just don't really see the appeal there. Like, I get, okay,
Mm,
it's rare. It's in the WotC era, and not many people have it. But it's just to me like it's missing that special. Like, I'm sorry, I'd rather have the originals. Like, I can't really get behind it. I don't know. That's
right,
just me though. Like,
right.
people are different. Like, I know, like I also am not that into error cards. So many people love error cards. Like, I heard you guys talking about that a little earlier, and like that's really cool. Like, that's a lot of people. That's like they love error cards, and like it's
Mm.
special and unique. It just doesn't really appeal to me. So I don't know. I see like no appeal in legendary, but obviously some people disagree, and it's super rare. So even if only like a few people are into legendary, then yeah, the prices are going to be high because it's just that rare. You know.
Right, and that's the opinion of a lot of people, especially a lot of the higher end collectors. Even Scott Pratt and some of these other guys talk, or they don't talk positive about it really at all because they feel that same way, and it's just, I mean, the only value that I see in it is when I look at a pop report of any vintage WotC set that has the lowest pop report, and yeah, you could
Yeah, yeah,
say
yeah.
people, yeah, it's low because people don't want to grade it because they don't care about it. But we're 20 years down the line here from it, or 17 years down the line from it already, and
Yeah.
it's still single digit Charizards in the PSA 10. At least
Yeah.
I think it's single digits. It might be over 10 now. I'm not sure. But and it's got that original art, for those collectors, and um, first set to
Yeah, I
have.
hear you.
I think, yeah, first set ever to have reverse hollows. I've also read somewhere, which this is one thing that really intrigues me about the set, which I don't know if it's true or not,
Yeah.
but what I read, it might be on Bulbapedia, was that the set was the set came out prior to, when did it came prior to Aquapolis or to Neo Genesis? I think it came out
I think
prior.
that's right. I think it was like in between the like
It yeah, it was in
the
between
e-reader sets.
one of the generations, and
Yeah.
I read somewhere that it
Or maybe it
only,
was like right before the e-reader sets, something like that. I think it might have
yeah,
been like right before the e-reader sets.
yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it was e-reader, and I read that
Yeah.
it was only released because WotC or Pokemon were behind on the whatever the next set was supposed to be, so they
Yeah.
had to create some other
It was a
set.
filler. It was a
Yeah,
filler.
it was a
It's like a TV show. It's like, oh, we don't know what we have to make 20 something episodes, but we can't really move the plot along. Like, let's just
right,
like they needed something. They needed, and that's why they set didn't exist in Japan. Like, it was they
right,
needed a filler.
right.
That
Which is,
yeah.
to me personally, I find extremely unique,
Hmm.
and to me, like, you think that would be possibly the lowest print set out of any because it was a filler set. It was just there to fill time before they could finalize the one that was supposed to come.
It would make sense if it had a very small print run when you think of it
Hmm.
in that context. Like,
Yeah,
they're just like they don't want to like blow up the market with that. Like, they knew that, oh, these are cards we printed before in some sense. Let's just make a few of these to keep people like, keep them appetites, keep them in check. Keep them stringing along. But they knew it wasn't going to blow up or anything. So it would make sense that if there was a very low print run for
right,
those cards.
right. And that's what really
Yeah.
really intrigues me about that set is that potential that it's a filler set and that it wasn't meant to
Hmm.
be. It was a
Yeah,
scramble.
that's an interesting perspective. I
It
see what you're
it
saying.
was
Yeah.
kind of a error set on its own. Like it was yeah, it was just kind of unique in that way.
Yeah, I
And
get where you're coming
and,
from.
and the
Yeah.
only way they could spice it up was, oh, let's make these reverse hollows like blind
Yeah,
people
right,
when they
right.
see them.
Exactly, exactly.
But yeah, so again, like you said, it's a completely niche item because it's a third reprint basically of most of the cards, and it's weird how they have multiple of the same card in each pack. It's just an odd. It's a very
That's
unique,
right.
very odd set. So
But you know what? It's like so look, Yeah, I get your perspective on that. That's interesting. And the thing that you have going for you, if you have a position, I don't know if, what kind of position you have in Legendary
I don't have
Collection,
any
but
anymore. I had one box, and that's
oh, okay,
yeah.
that's funny. Okay, but like the thing about Legendary Collection is that, yeah, I mean, like even if it is a little bit niche, as you say, if it's as long as it's sufficiently rare enough, then you only need like a few people who have similar feelings on
Mhm.
that, and the cards can be really valuable
Right.
because that's so because and like you said, like it really does seem to be rare. So
Yeah.
that's what it has going for it.
Yeah. Although I do know one guy that I haven't seen it personally, but he claims he has 4 cases and a bunch of loose
Ooh.
boxes.
See, that would scare me because like Bipsy was saying that there were 12 Charizards, for example. So, like,
Hmm.
if someone did one day crack open like a couple of cases, then like the scary thing is like, oh, like the population is going to like jump up by like 50% overnight. Like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
when the population is that low, you can like have some crazy situation like that.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Percentage wise, absolutely. And I mean, I cracked open a legendary collection box to sell packs, and it did not go well. So I ended up holding on to maybe, I think, what did I have? I think I had about 10 of them for like over a year and a half. So I ended up weighing them, what I had left, and selling off the light packs and selling off a couple of heavy packs. But I opened up the Charizard for myself, luckily. Just
Nice,
like
nice. That was well done.
I mean that's another set that has so many hollows that you're not really safe to pull a Charizard, in each box. So I got really lucky pulling that thing. Ended up getting a 8.5 from PSA for some reason.
Oh man,
Um,
that sucks.
but
Jeez.
cause yeah, I mean, that's just another set that is, I guess,
Is that tough? I mean, I guess it's
been
tough.
notorious
Yeah,
to get tens and not get
yeah. You know
tens.
what? I probably exaggerating a thing about like 50% jump overnight because, like, yeah, if the cards are really just that difficult to grade, then
Right. PFM just said it's 7%
uh,
PSA 10
yeah,
rate.
that's crazy.
That's
That is crazy low.
it's
That
really
is
low.
crazy low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a
All
filler
right,
set,
man.
so they were probably rushing to
Yeah,
cut
I
those
think
things and put those things, but.
I'm gonna head off. It's pretty late here.
Yeah, no, that was a great conversation. I appreciate you talking with me and doing this, and
Yeah, it was fun,
it was
man.
a lot of fun.
I really appreciated it
Very
having the
interesting.
opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah, I might turn this
Uh,
into a monthly thing or a bi-weekly thing. We'll have to.
yeah, I'd be down. I'd be down to talk again, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to reach out to some other collectors as well and get some cool stories out of people. So I appreciate it.
Yeah,
And,
you could definitely like run a podcast.
thank you.
You're a good interviewer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. This is all off the top of my head too. So what the hell? Why not? Beautiful. Well, yeah, I'll message you privately after this, and I'll see what my guy is actually
Yeah.
interested in paying for one of those things, and we'll.
Like I said, I wasn't looking to sell, but I have a 1 year open, so
Okay.
you can let me know.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
of course, and that never
All right.
hurts to entertain it. So. All right, cool. I
Bipsy,
appreciate it, man.
I see you there. I appreciate you too, Bipsy. Bipsy's been here the whole time.
Bit-
Pokemon Flying Master, you too, man. And yeah, Stibs, it's been great. So yeah, we'll do it again sometime.
Awesome. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, and have a good one.
You too, man.
All right, take
Bye.
care. All right. Well, I'm gonna end my stream here. Thank you guys for all joining in. Bipsy, again, tips. I tip my fedora to you, as BFM says. This idea kind of came out of you, and I appreciate you pushing me to do so. And BFM, thank you for joining. Thank you for being involved with the chat and all that. I had a lot of fun doing that. I think it went pretty well. I'll have to figure out how to save this and maybe post it on YouTube. Maybe start a whole Pokemon podcast. You're a couple of guys that I would love to have join as well. Maybe figure this out. So, I definitely have hopefully a few stories of my own to continue to share and hopefully not be too redundant on my end, but I know you guys have your own things as well. So thank you again for watching. I'm done with my stream today. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the bits. If you have Amazon Twitch Prime, feel free to send it my way if you're not already using it. And happy Thanksgiving. Have a good one.